Ian, we love Nintendo. And we love mobile devices.
Okay.
We love apps.
No.
Like a certain NES guide app.
Sure.
That Pat might be finally getting paid for because now he's publishing it himself. Anyway, Ian.
Yes.
Miitomo came and went. Super Mario Run was around.
Mm-hmm.
We had that the Fire Emblem one.
Pocket Camp.
I keep forgetting to actually play that. So Nintendo has dipped their toes in the water when it comes to mobile games to, mixed success. Miitomo sort of was like a weird experiment that kind of failed. Super Mario Run didn't do the sales I think they were hoping for at $9.99. I loved it. I thought it was worth $10.
It was fun.
I don't know how Pocket Camp's doing or anything else they have going on. Obviously, the Pokemon stuff, they have a limited stake in it. But they're making a lot of money on that.
Yeah, that's doing just fine.
But they're a minority stakeholder with the Pokemon company. But they're still making money. So, Shigeru Miyamoto talked to the good people at Bloomberg about where he sees the mobile game scene being at and where Nintendo could fit into it. He sort of criticized the industry, told them not to be too greedy when it comes to free to pay games.
Free to pay,
free to play, but then you pay. That's what it is. And I think I see what's going on here. He's criticizing the free to play model, loot boxes, microtransactions, and there's been record profits from them, obviously, and that's why they keep coming back. Instead of charging an upfront one-time fee, publishers are increasingly giving games away or selling them at discounted prices and nudging players to continually buy in-game products, such as virtual outfits, or encourage them to bet money on winning rare items. So that's their gambit. It's like, yeah, you're going to pay $1 for this game or it'll be free, but it'll be hundreds of dollars out of your pocket when this is all said and done.
Sure.
See you podcast memory, like the that driving game where you had to buy gasoline to play the free to.
Oh, it was
that was an EA game, wasn't it?
It was a
Need for Speed game.
It was a Need for Speed game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So so you cannot possibly play some of these free to play games comfortably or get ahead unless you pay into the system. Yes.
You can play this game for free, but you're gonna have to sit in a chair of spikes.
That's basically what it amounts to. Here's Super Mario Run without the ability to jump unless you pay an extra $1.50.
Right.
That's what it accounts to, and that's what Miyamoto's criticizing. So he has a point when it comes to that. He says, I can't say that our fixed cost model has really been a success. They usually can, Miyamoto said, but we're going to continue pushing it forward until it becomes entrenched, the way everyone can develop games in a comfortable environment. By focusing on bringing games to the widest range of people possible, we can continue boosting our mobile game business. So I think what Miyamoto's afraid of is the devaluing of Nintendo IPs and games once they move to the mobile market. Because I would say that there's probably more thought and time put into their mobile games than the average mobile game that's thrown up on the store for free. So, but that's what the market is for mobile. It's like if you have to spend $10, oh my God, that's insane.
Well, and I think also they look at some of the backlash from something like Pocket Camp, which does Pocket Camp is kind of one of those time management ones where it's like, you do this and then you have to wait a certain number of minutes, hours, etc., before you can do something else again.
Sure.
And people don't necessarily love that sort of method. So they did get some flack for that. And I think reasonably he looks at that sort of thing, and yes, he sees that as perhaps devaluing an IP. And I think there's something to be said for when he talks about developing games in a comfortable environment. I sort of take that to mean basically when you are developing a game in a free-to-play model, my thought is that you're not really developing the game that you want, because you have to be, well, you can't, you're developing what you want, but you have to purposely try to figure out how you're going to shoehorn these free-to-play mechanics in. You can't just go and make the game that you necessarily want to, because you have to figure out how you're going to work that mechanic in there to keep. What are you going to limit? What's your resource? Where are you going to put these multiple layers of currency? Because many free-to-play games use, various layers of currency, one that you usually have to buy for something. Sure. You're not just naturally making the game the way you would, because you have to think about what, in addition to X, Y, or Z, are you withholding from a player.
You think about a subscription model, in essence, and how that works with your game versus before. Nintendo's like, this is our game.
Here's the game.
Here's the game.
Right.
Comes out. Well, for the most of their existence, no DLC. Now there's been DLC in a few of their big games, but those DLCs are new games in and of themselves, just about.
They have done fairly well with Nintendo does things that I don't like, but DLC they've been
there's been
pretty
value.
good with.
The value, it's been there at least. So they're trying to make sure that they don't want to get into the mode where Nintendo has to, in order to sell them, has to go into a market where people won't pay more than 99 cents for a game, or free games that then money has to be pumped into consistently, because then Nintendo has to change how they make games entirely, and they can't do that.
Right.
They don't want to. Imagine them thinking about that imagine if they had loot boxes in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Imagine if they had to do that to make money. How that would just alter the game entirely. Here's these rare items, instead of seeking them out and having fun exploring and finding them, getting clues, going through the rough rocky terrain and climbing up. Instead of that, just pay us $5 and throw the dice, or
right.
That's not the same experience. It's something else. I'm not saying it's wrong, but for them, they don't want to do that.
Yeah, for some games that can, even especially there are games that do it without money. That can be fun for a certain type of game, but that would change the dynamic of Zelda entirely.
Sure, and plus, I think since a lot of those games at Nintendo are still geared towards kids, honestly, I think that's what they think about as well. We don't want kids to have to worry about money once they're playing our games that are purchased.
Well, it's the geared towards everyone, mentality. The casual player is not going to like that idea. The person who dips in to play a Nintendo game every year, a big release every year or something like that, they're used to the progress equals reward structure of a game, not the, you can get all the rewards by doing this, and then you're playing the reasons you're playing the video game, in certain games, like say a Fortnite or something, or a game that has loot boxes where you're unlocking something that way. That reward structure is different than I think what most people who tune into a Nintendo game are looking for.
And it's interesting that they said the two more mobile games in development: Dragalia Lost, that's being co-developed with Cyber Agent, a publisher that's been criticized for using aggressive tactics in monetizing games. So I guess Nintendo's probably going to rein them in there. And then Mario Kart Tour is coming out in March.
Oh, geez, I forgot about that.
We haven't heard much about that, have we?
No, it was announced, and I think we heard so little about it that we might not have even covered it.
That'll be interesting. You think that'll be a traditional racer, just using your finger? You have to get a wheel next to it?
Yeah, I don't know.
That could be fun. A dumbed down mobile Mario Kart could make sense.
Sure.
Simplified version, using the little touch. I hate the touch crosspad on phone. It just doesn't work. But or you can just shift your phone.
That's what I was saying.
Oh, that's what you're doing like this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very, very
what,
tiny.
Are you driving a school bus?
I'm very tiny, and my phone is very large.
You have one of Rue's phones, gigantic phones.
Rue's phone that you can put down on the ground and throw a fucking sleeping bag on top of.
Can you use mobile phones for that purpose? I guess you
can.
All right, so I think that's what Miyamoto's getting at here, is that this is a world that they're late to, and that they don't want to change how they operate in order to fit into it.
Yeah, I mean, they're late to it. Nintendo's not good at adapting.
Oh, no. I'm shocked they've adapted as much as they had the past year and a half.
Nintendo's very bad at adapting, and I think this is a tacit an admission of we're not good at adapting. We also don't like this. So this is why we don't like it, and this is why we're not going to try to adapt very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're going to get our $10 Mario Kart Tour game or $5 and like it. We're not doing free, and then you got to buy turtle shells.
They are, and it's probably not working, and I think this might be his way of saying we're giving this one more go, and if it doesn't work, then maybe you're going to see some changes.
And then we'll do the Nintendo phone. That'll come soon. I wonder if that's an idea, actually.
Nintendo phone?
I'm surprised.
Phone-tendo.
That would sell. The more I think about it, that would actually sell a good amount if they did their own phone. Nintendo, don't take this idea. If we do, I'll work with you. We'll roll it out together. We'll Shark Tank this. We'll do it. All right.